Hi everyone, my name's Mike. I'm a network connector here at Teach First, and I have the absolute pleasure of spending some time today chatting to, what can I say, one of the superstars of the careers world, the fantastic Simon Wareham. Simon's going to introduce himself in a minute. But Simon, great to see you today. Just wanted to, let's just kick off with, I suppose, in parlance of interview parlance would be a softball question. I just wondered if you'd be able to just give us a bit of an overview of your careers journey to date and kind of what's brought you here today, including kind of your motivations behind choosing any of the Teach First programs that you've undertaken. Simon?
Thank you, Mike, for that wonderful introduction. I started teaching in September 2005 at a school in York. I completed the normal traditional PGCE route through Durham University and started off as a teacher of modern languages. That's what I am first and foremost, a teacher of French and German. After about 11 years, mainly working in pastoral, I then moved up to where I am now, up in the northeast in Sunderland, which is area that I'm from, not from Sunderland, I'm from Newcastle originally, but in this area. And in 2018, I joined the Teach First Careers Leader programme to complete this in 2019 as the school's careers leader. I also then, with Teach First, completed the National Professional Qualification in Senior Leadership and did that from 2020 to 2021. And I am now Assistant Head Teacher, responsible for what we call student progression. So that incorporates everything in school, leading careers, personal development, anything to do with things outside subject areas, but also looking at the teaching and learning and how careers and personal development impacts that. I joined the Careers Leader programme originally with Teach First as I was asked to be Careers Leader, but had no experience at all of leading anything to do with careers. Starting off from scratch, so I wanted to join a programme that would help support a three-year career strategy for the school from a position of zero. And Teach First was was recognised one of the leaders in providing careers education, careers leader training. So it was kind of a natural choice. And then after such a good experience with Teach First doing that, I then completed the National Professional Qualification Senior Leadership with Teach First. I knew that the quality of delivery would be excellent and it would support me to achieve this qualification. So I've done 2 different programs with Teach First over the last 4 or 5 years.
Thanks, Simon. I mean, a very geographical career and career to date, spanning, decades now. So I suppose a natural question would be, what inspires or motivates you to support students, children in disadvantaged communities?
I think first and foremost, Mike, it's the fact that I believe that every child, no matter what their background, has just as much opportunity to succeed as every other child. And so we work here in our school with students from some really disadvantaged backgrounds. We're a coastal school, urban coastal school, just outside the city, with above average levels of free school meals. And many of these students just don't have the support networks behind them as to what other students might have access to. For example, at the minute we're work experience next week for year 10, and we know some students have got places straight away because they've got those support networks and others haven't, and we've had to work with them to give them as much opportunity. And it's our job as a school, and our job as educators, to ensure that every child has the same opportunity, no matter what their background, and their background doesn't become a barrier to them. And in my role as careers leader, my aim was to ensure that we kind of open the eyes of these students who would not get those opportunities and show them that they are able to be successful, and that as a school, we will support them to get on those correct pathways moving further forward. And that's what I believe, first and foremost, that, as I said, everyone has the opportunity to succeed, and we need to remove those barriers.
It's so important, isn't it? That young people, particularly in disadvantaged communities, have those options, have their eyes open to the various different routes that are available to them, that, as you quite rightly point out, that maybe they don't have those support mechanisms in place to be able to provide them with that information almost naturally. You're an MFL teacher. I wonder if you could talk about how, your subject specialism, the areas that you work with in the school, how did you get in to that, and how can careers education support the work that you do in MFL and vice versa?
Yes, I mean, as Mike says, I'm an MFL teacher. That's first and foremost what I actually am. And I think the subject that I teach is one of those that can open the doors to people in the future and go on, and particularly learning from a cultural background. And also one of the things I've had the pleasure in doing over the years, over the last, as you say, decades, but 17, 18 years that I've been teaching, is being able to take students abroad and be able to open their eyes that way. I mean, I've done, you're looking at about 20 trips abroad I've done now over my career, including one just a couple of weeks ago that we took to France, and it's been that opportunity to really open those doors. Obviously, I do that mainly, that's what I do, but on the other hand, my leadership responsibilities, obviously my main area that I lead is looking at personal development. I've always been interested in personal development from when I joined the pastoral team way back in my first school, because personal development incorporates all those areas such as personal and social education, careers, extracurricular activities, social, moral, spiritual, cultural development, and so much more. And for many years, I think in schools, personal development was seen as maybe not as important as the quality of education, or not as important as other areas. It's hard to measure it, but there's been a huge shift recently, both in schools and through education policy. And finally, I think the pennies start to drop, and I hope I've had some input into that at some point, that high quality personal development, incorporating careers, is extremely important, especially as we emerge from the pandemic. And that actually, and I've banged this drum many times, and I know, Mike, you've heard it loads of times, but I feel that personal development is just as important as the quality of education. You need to have both. And I believe that good academic outcomes are just half of what students need to achieve when they leave school. In equal measure, they also need to know how to be responsible citizens when they leave the comfort of the school gates at the age of 16 or 18, that they're equipped for the future. But it's also clear that those personal development careers will really support those academic outcomes as well. They go hand in hand together. And I think there's been a huge shift in that recently of people really taking that on board. I was just having a conversation this morning with a lecturer from a university who sort of had thought exactly the same as me. He came out with it before I even said it. He even said the same thing as what I'm saying. So therefore, people outside of school are saying the same thing, and we're agreeing together. And we both feel, and I feel, there's no point in students leaving school with rafts of grade 7s, 8s and 9s, but can't, for example, take part in an interview or demonstrate teamwork or, lead a opportunity. And so in our school, one of the things I've been working on massively is to really develop the culture of a school to move away from academic progress being the only measurable important outcome, and fully embracing personal development. And I believe that is supporting to really make a difference, so that every young person is leaving with every single opportunity they can of equal measure when they go off into the future.
I mean, you're absolutely right. Educating the whole child, building the whole child is fundamental to their success. And I know one of the things that you are passionate about, and certainly are passionate about at the school, is that skills development within young people as well. Maybe you could talk about the importance that you find in that, in terms of bridging those gaps with disadvantaged communities.
And one of the things that we've been working on massively in school is to build the employability and transferable skills of our young people. So we looked at our curriculum and decided that actually subject knowledge is one thing, subject-based skills is another thing, but actually having a generic transferable skills is also just as important. We have it in thirds in our curriculum. So a third is knowledge, a third is subject skills, and a third is transferable employability skills. So we've built into every area of our curriculum, we've built in skills and developing skills at every opportunity that we can do. So I know sitting here now that every single lesson that's going on around me right now, skills are being talked about in those particular lessons. It's part of our curriculum. It's part of what we're doing. And we have 8 key skills, which come from the Skills Builder framework. We adopted that back in 2019. And we've just become a gold school in 2022 for that. So we're obviously doing it right and doing a good job of it. And there's a case study on their website all about what we've done. But it's about making sure that those skills are consistent throughout all the curriculum. And the main reason being so that when students do leave at 16 or 18, they have a set of skills that they can fall back on no matter what they go to do in the future. we know that young people are going to have far more jobs than what we've had before in the past. I've been a teacher for all these years. Mike, you've been in education for all these years. So therefore, you know, that's been what we've done. But other students, we know that young people now are going to change from one job to another going on. And actually, we know that some jobs don't even exist yet. They're going to exist for our young people. For example, our year sevens, there's going to be jobs that we don't even know about. So we want to give those students a set of skills that no matter what they go on to, they can use those skills in every situation and adapt and be transferable and know that listening means this and I can use it then. Speaking means this and I can put that into place just there. And we fully embrace that in school. And I really think that is helping every young person to be able to achieve in the future, because it's just, again, removing those barriers and they've got that skill set that they can go and use in the future.
Absolutely, Simon. I mean, obviously someone having those employability skills makes them more employable. So they're transferable across different jobs. So the wider that skill pool, the kind of the wider professions that maybe they have opportunities to move into as well. I mean, you've had tremendous success over the past few years, and that's given you opportunities to share kind of what you've developed, what you've learned over the past few years with what you've been doing at Southmoor. And that's given you opportunities to kind of share that practice more widely across other organisations. I know you're involved with National Careers Week, as well as being involved in some other kind of benchmark conversations as well about the future of the Gatsby benchmarks. But you've also had opportunities to kind of feed into education policy. And I wondered if you'd just be able to spend a little bit of time now talking about, you know, the importance of education policy and the recent conversations that you've had in that space.
Yes, I mean, I'm lucky with the number of opportunities that I've had in all different spaces, as you say, with the National Careers Week and with Gatsby benchmarks, working with Gatsby and working with Teach First and the Careers Network. But obviously, one of the biggest things I was fortunate enough by Teach First, really lucky enough and really over the moon about, was invited back in February down to Westminster to come and meet with the Shadow Education Secretary, Bridget Phillipson, who coincidentally is the MP for the next constituency along from where I'm sat right now, in our partner school, Sandhill View, in our trust. She is their MP, so she knows our school really well. So I was invited down to this roundtable event in Westminster, along with various other educators from Teach First, and Russell was there as well, the CEO. And at that meeting, she was really keen to find out the current state of play of schools from leaders who were at the chalk face every single day. And obviously, we discussed about the issues and the barriers that are going on at the minute, but she was really keen to discuss the importance of careers education and the impact it was having in school. I had a long conversation during that roundtable about how important it was. And she was really keen to see how the world of work is linked with what's going on in school, something which I passionately believe in, that whatever we're doing in school needs to link into what's happening outside of school so the students can see that seamless link between them. And she was really keen to talk about how schools are giving students the opportunity to engage with employers, for example, which she feels is a massively important area, absolutely invaluable, and she'd like to do more of that. And all that information gathering is going to feed into Labour's manifesto when we come to general election time. So I feel as though I've had some input into that on my little level here, and that our school's been represented just there, and hopefully we'll see careers developing. And it's clear, though, even under the current government, that careers is massively important and personal development is. We recently underwent our Ofsted inspection back in September. And if anyone gets a chance to read the report, it reads like a report about careers and personal development. It's all the way through. They put a huge emphasis on that. And it wasn't difficult. It was quite straightforward. They just wanted to explore what we do. And it was really nice to see those comments coming back from them saying that careers was education was a strength of the school. It was great to see that being recognised by someone from outside. And I know that a lot of schools recently, careers, personal development, there's been a huge focus by the Ofsted team rather than just quality of education. So it's clearly that education policy is kind of shifting, and they're realising that actually all of this coming together is important to move forward and improve schools going on.
I mean, during those connections, joining those connections, I should say, between education and employment and employers is, it's the natural churn, isn't it? Of schools, students come out of school, they go into businesses, they go into employment, and forging those links and having better links with industry is so important to make sure that those lines are drawn, the dots are met, A to B. You touched on, the recognition that you've rightly received, the school's rightly received through Ofsted. I have read the report, and it is exactly as you say, and it's a really wonderful report. And if you haven't had an opportunity, everyone, to read the report yet, I would suggest that you go and have a read of it, because it does shine a light on the really good practice that takes place at your school. But I wondered, just to draw on a few elements of that I wondered if you'd be able to just share a couple of examples of how you've done it, what impact you've made, and ultimately what kind of impact that's had to the school community and to yourself.
Thank you, Mike. I mean, one of the big measurements of careers is how successful a careers program is making sure that all students go on to a destination in the future. That's one of the big things we're looking at. It's difficult to measure careers and personal development. It's one area that there's no real hard data like there is for academic data. But one of the big measurements that we look at is that destinations data. And for many years, we aspired as a school. I always said to our head teacher, one day we're going to achieve 100% of our year 11. You're looking at 240 students there. We'd be engaged in education and training. And I was always told, oh, this figure's hugely aspirational. So we'll set the target at 97. We'll set it at that target just there, because there's always going to be one or two. And there'll always be a few, and it'll go up and down on the way. But it's always something that's been in the back of my mind for the last 4 years. And I say it every year in the year 11 assembly at the start of the year: will you be the year group that will have 100% going through? And normally as a school, before I start as careers leader, normally as a school we achieved around 92%. That was what the school was averaging on, about average for the local area. As soon as we put the careers program in place, though, and after the first year, it shot up to 97% straight away. So that showed that first year's impact straight away, having a structured strategy in place where it wasn't all over the place but brought together, which is what I spent the first few years doing in preparation for our full strategy. Should I say the first year I spent doing that in preparation for our strategy. Then it went up to 99% one year, and we thought, oh, we're getting there, very, very close, and it hovered around there for a bit. But I was delighted last year that for the first time, our year 11s last year, I set them that target at the start of the year, and by the September, October time just gone, we got provisional figures through, and then by the January, February time, we got more confirmed figures through, and it showed that 100% were actually engaged in education, employment, training. So we had what's called a zero NEET figure, not in education, employment and training, which is something we've always dreamed of. And I think for a school like ours, serving some high levels of disadvantage in our area that we have, and as I said a bit earlier, above average free school meals figures, to get that was such an amazing achievement, especially on this huge cohort that we have. And it just shows that every single student, no matter what their background, has been able to move on to something successful in the future, their next stage of their education. And one of the things that was really important was that was not just the responsibility of the careers team. We've moved away from the fact that it's careers responsible for that. It's not anymore. It's the whole school now. So we have a mantra in our school: every teacher is a teacher of careers. Everybody is responsible. Every single conversation you have with a young person about anything is related to careers. It has to be, because it's about getting them ready for the future as they go on. And so therefore that culture of careers permeates through everything that we do. And therefore it wasn't just a small team, a few of us doing it, but it was the whole team together as the whole school in order to achieve that figure just there. And as we've rightly said about embedding careers into the curriculum was a huge challenge. We've mentioned about Skills Builder being part of every single lesson, and I do think that has had a huge impact as well, preparing our young people for the future as they move on. So we've been delighted, and we're also delighted with the range of destinations students have gone on to as well. Many students from some disadvantaged backgrounds gone on to achieve good apprenticeships with some very big companies. and have gone on to be really successful, and they've come back and spoken about them again, and gone through various what they've done and infused the next generation. And so we're really proud of not just the fact that everyone's got a destination, but also the fact the varied destinations they've gone on to in the future, which shows the impact of the programme that we've got in place that is supporting every single young person.
I mean, the achievement shouldn't be minimised at all. I mean, it was an absolutely fantastic achievement, and the people who we speak to in the careers community, they know the hard work that's gone into that. So, I mean, a tremendous achievement for the school, and for the strategy that you developed over a long period of time. And I think that shows the power of taking a strategic approach to the work that you're doing. That careers isn't just a bolt-on; that it is threaded through the school and every aspect through personal development and skills as well, which is brilliant, and the quality of destinations as well, not just being fixated on university routes, Russell Group or whatever else, but apprenticeships, getting students to choose the destination that suits them rather than anything else, which is brilliant. So we've already established you've undertaken 2 Teach First programs, which I don't know if you get a gold award for being a double ambassador, but you are a double ambassador. So I wonder if you'd be able to just talk about what being part of that ambassador community means to you, and what benefits or support you've received as a result of being part of this great community.
Thank you for the golden award just there. That was very, very good. You had to do the 2 courses, but yeah, it's been hugely beneficial to be part of an ambassador community. I suppose one of the things is really important is we wouldn't be sat here now having this conversation really unless being part of that ambassador community. So I've been very lucky to be part of the Careers Network and worked with Mike for quite some time on that one, and really working together. It's been really good to work with fantastic group of people who equally believe in the value of careers education, so they have exactly the same thoughts and want the same things, and all doing amazing work in their settings, whether that be special educational needs, higher education, further education, or careers hubs, all doing that, really making a difference. And it's been great to be able to share ideas and have discussions, which really leads on to some huge impacts there. I've also had the extreme privilege of working on several occasions now with new cohorts of careers leaders with Teach First. So those that have been doing the programme now that I completed back in 2019. And I always think when I go to those events and I'm delivering, thinking, what was I thinking back then when I was sat in their shoes right now, having no clue at all about careers, and now I'm stood in front of them telling them, this is the good practice, this is a good thing to work on, but I know what they're feeling at that time as well and what they're thinking. And it's been a huge honour to be able to give those bits of advice to those people that were in that same situation, because I understand what they're feeling and what they're going through, and I've had to go through that and battle that myself and get to a point where we're up to now. So therefore, it's been a privilege doing that, and being able to pass on my wisdom and what I've learned, and how I might do things differently if I've done it again, is really important. But one of the things that I always take away from it is, what I've already tried, or what might not have worked, or what other people have tried, and then I can have a go at it as well, taking away that information. And one of the most valuable things I think as a careers leader, which is one of the main things that I do, is being able to network and share. I've learned so much about my own leadership skills by doing that. I've never done it before, never really networked with other people other than people in school, fellow teachers within the classroom. And so therefore to be able to, to network with and learn those skills how to network has been really important for me. To engage with businesses, I've never done that before, and people with people outside of school. And prior to becoming careers leader, I had no experience of that. And I just think now, for example, one day I could be talking to, for example, the CEO of a major ladies' clothing company who is an alumni of our school, believe it or not, went to our school. I talked to her one day, and the next day I've got 50 leaders coming in to come and do mock interviews with the students, and I've arranged that with people outside of school, or nearly 200 students going out on work experience next week and being able to liaise with the companies. So learning those skills as being an ambassador, but learning how to network and share has been massively valuable for me. But I also think as a careers leader, that is one of the most important skills to actually learn. So it's been great to be part of the Ambassador Network, continue on with it, and be able to help others, but also to develop myself as well as a leader moving forward.
Thanks, Simon. And Simon's too modest to say this, but I think one of the amazing things about Simon is that when he's engaging with networks and with the ambassador community and wider careers community, he always gives as much as he takes and fully embraces the spirit of collaboration and connection within that. And it's been wonderful working with you, Simon, over the years in this capacity. I feel like I have known you most of my adult life now, in a good way, I will say. So I'm going to draw this to a close, and let's address the moment, shall we? Because we're here for a particular reason. It's 20 years since Teach First started. What a wonderful and amazing 20 years. I just wanted to ask you, really, what does that 20 years of Teach First mean to you as we set to gather in July for that wonderful Teacher Ambassador gathering?
I think Teach First has been at the core of giving every child a fighting chance to succeed in education and ending education equality, which is what Teach First set out to do from the start, and being central to that, making education fairer and accessible to all, and particularly those from disadvantaged backgrounds, but really like breaking that cycle of disadvantage, so that breaking that thought of, because you're from that background, you can't succeed, and making sure that every child leaves school with what they need to succeed in life. And, who would have thought 20 years later, thousands, don't know how many, but thousands of students have been leaving school, being taught by teachers who have been trained through Teach First, or attended schools like ours with leaders who have been trained by Teach First, led by leaders who are trained by Teach First ambassadors, all those that have been benefited from the many opportunities that come from Teach First, such as the virtual talks that our students have benefited from, or the work experience programs that Teach First offers. Really supporting all of that has been central. And to think that there will be thousands of students now who have grown up, who are older from 20 years ago, have now had that better chance in life and equal opportunities that they might not have had before. And that is so important, and long may it continue for another 20 years and beyond in the successful role that they're doing, and really helping those young people for the future.
And what a wonderful place to leave this on. Simon, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. It is always a pleasure talking to you. I always feel more enriched having done so. But yeah, thank you very much for your time today. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon, but absolutely on the 1st of July. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.